Story 1. My JNMOM lied to family for years about me, but gets embarrassed and blames me when we have a virtual family reunion because I'm the opposite of what she told everyone else. My mother was emotionally abusive for the 21 years I lived at home. She made my life hell, causing me significant depression and stress. She constantly criticized my weight, and because of my self-esteem issues and depression, I struggled to hold down a job, which she used to label me as lazy. At 21, I moved out, stayed with friends, and began working on my mental and physical health. For years later, I'm in a much better place. I have a great circle of friends and a supportive boyfriend. I'd been estranged from my mother and certain family members for those 4 years. They consistently took her side, believing her portrayal of me as a demon child, without questioning her motives. The only family I stayed in contact with were my grandparents, who had witnessed some of her abusive behavior before I moved out, and a cousin who had seen it firsthand when we were younger. Throughout those 4 years, my mother continued to spread lies about me, claiming I was gaining weight, unemployed, homeless, had tried to break into her home multiple times, and had assaulted her. Then, last month, my grandfather reached out. He told me they were having a virtual family reunion in January and encouraged me to join and prove everyone wrong. My cousin also suggested that I inconveniently position myself in my house so my boyfriend would be visible, as apparently, I was still supposedly unable to get a boyfriend. So, the big day arrived. I joined the reunion 5 minutes late on purpose. The looks on people's faces were priceless. That's when they started questioning my mother, who ignored every question and dismissed my appearance by saying I'd had work done. That's when I spoke up. I said, "No, this is who I've been for 3 years. All the information you've received about me has come from a woman who, like many of you, I haven't spoken to in years. This woman has lied and degraded me my whole life, and continues to do so, because that's all she can do with her life." Then, my boyfriend walked into the kitchen and gave a friendly wave in the background. The family freaked out even more when I told them he was my boyfriend. My mother, meanwhile, was giving me a death stare. The family started questioning my mother again. She refused to answer and finally said, "I don't need to answer anyone," before leaving the virtual reunion. Later, my cousin told me that my mother had a full-on meltdown because I had the audacity to be there and be smug, and that I should have stayed away because now there are problems within the family, which, of course, are all my fault. But this is all just a result of her being embarrassed and being called out on her lies. Comment 1. Locked due to comment threshold. Comment 2. The best revenge? Living well without you. I'm proud of you. Comment 3. I don't need any lamb sauce because this dish is more excellent than I could ever describe. It sucks that she treated you this way, and I'm glad to hear how much better you are doing. Comment 4. This should have a success flare, because you just completely proved your mother wrong by showing up. It's going to be real hard for anyone in your family to believe anything she says after this. You truly won here. Story 2. Emile wants to keep only one of my kids home from daycare during a visit. Things have been a bit tense with my Emile lately. I have a toddler who's almost 3 and a 5-month-old baby. My Emile, who lives several states away, wanted to visit for my oldest's upcoming birthday. The timing was terrible, though, because his birthday is also my first day back at work after my maternity leave. We knew it would be a chaotic time, and establishing a new routine is crucial, so we told her it wouldn't work. Her visits are honestly exhausting, and we just wouldn't have the energy. Thankfully, Miso was completely on board with this decision. Of course, Emile was not happy about it. For some context, my FIL and MIL divorced 20 years ago, and she's the only living grandparent on either side. She then asked if she could visit soon after to celebrate his birthday. That seemed reasonable. So, when we started talking about potential dates for this future visit, we laid down a boundary. We told her that when she comes, she needs to either take both kids out of daycare or let them both go. She has a clear preference for babies over toddlers, which, in itself, I wouldn't have a huge problem with. However, our almost 3-year-old is definitely old enough to understand what's going on, and I absolutely don't want him to feel like she loves his little sibling more, especially when she's supposedly visiting to celebrate his birthday. I even offered the compromise that she could just keep the older one home with her as a special birthday activity. Both kids attend the same daycare. Well, she hit the roof. She informed us, quite indignantly, that she doesn't think she's capable of taking care of two young children at once, so she will only come for a weekend. Oh, and as a bonus, she also announced that she won't be able to help us out this summer during our daycare's closure either, because, again, she's just not capable of handling two kids. She has helped us with daycare breaks for the past 2 years, so this feels like a direct consequence of us saying no to the birthday visit. While it's possible she genuinely feels incapable, my So is an only child, so she doesn't have a ton of experience with multiple young kids. It really feels like she's playing the incapable card because she's mad at us for not letting her come for the birthday. Whatever. It'll cost us a fortune to figure out summer childcare, but it's her right to say no, I guess. She is retired, though. So who's the just no here? Am I being unreasonable for telling her she can only keep the baby home? Or is she being the just no for seemingly punishing us for setting that boundary? Comment 1. You are allowed to set boundaries. She is allowed to set her own as well equals you gave her options, and she is complying with it in a way that works for her. Some grandparents genuinely cannot cope with multiple children. Both my parents and in-laws can only cope with both of mine for a few hours, but not all day. Comment 2. Her anger may be an issue, but telling you she can't care for two kids is not the issue. You need to listen to her admission and adjust your expectations from there. Comment 3. So if it is genuinely too much for her, and I get that, could you offer a compromise? If she pulls one from daycare one day, the next day she has to do the same with the other. Toddler first, so he doesn't feel like he is being usurped by the younger one, and she can't be too tired from having the baby the first day. Comment 4. It's perfectly reasonable to not want to care for both at once. It's a lot. And it's perfectly reasonable to protect your children from apparent favoritism, regardless if it actually is or not. I expect she's both mad you're not letting her take the baby alone and realizing she can't do summer daycare, which is also making her mad. No fun baby summer. And she's using that to be ugly to you even though it's the inevitable result of her own admission. Comment 5. It's perfect if she doesn't want to take care of them both for real, not being able to manage them both, or for favoritism. Both need to be managed. Therefore, she doesn't look after the kids from this point forward, as she isn't suitable childcare. Story 3. Found out my in-mom is trying to get a hold of photos of my son. For some context, I've been mostly no contact with my narcissistic mother for about 5 years now, only reaching out for big family events like a death or issues with my brother. After going no contact, I sought therapy and have worked hard to establish strong boundaries, even in the rare moments we interact through messages. My son was born this past January. I knew this moment would come at some point, but it still bothers me. This morning, my little brother messaged me asking if I could send pictures of my son because, in his words, she's asked him for them 3 times a day over the past month. It's worth noting that my little brother still lives with her. I'm frustrated, even though I kind of expected this. She's once again putting him in the middle, just like she always does. But honestly, she doesn't deserve to know my son. She doesn't even care to know me, so why should she get access to him? When she found out he was born premature, she sent me a message saying she was praying for his recovery and hoping we could put our differences aside so she could meet him. I didn't reply because I didn't feel comfortable engaging with that, especially when I know her motives. Before I was married or pregnant, we tried to have a conversation about setting boundaries and addressing our issues. But when I suggested a few times that worked for me to meet up, she blew up, saying that it wasn't about my time. It was about her being the mother and me being the daughter. At that point, I realized there was no point in trying to have that conversation, so I walked away from the idea of meeting up. When we got pregnant, my husband and I made the decision not to post pictures of our son on social media. We're not really active on Facebook or Instagram, but we agreed that the people who are active in our lives, close family and friends, would know him, but we didn't want random acquaintances from high school or distant relatives seeing him. At this point, My mother doesn't even feel like an acquaintance, and I don't trust that she wouldn't take his pictures and share them on her social media. So she won't be getting any pictures from me. I keep reminding myself that a narcissist thrives on controlling the narrative and manipulating people with the information they get. But it's still frustrating. She's always controlled the narrative with her friends about why I went no contact, and honestly, I couldn't care less what they think of me. But I draw the line at her using my son in her story. I can't see myself ever feeling comfortable with her meeting him. Even if we ever went a low contact, she'd need very strict boundaries because she has a habit of walking all over them whenever she feels like it. Comment 1. I'm in C with my biomom going in 10 years now. My daughter is 2 and biomom has never met her or any of that. I handled this behavior from my siblings well before my kid, but there was a rough transition period. I would talk to your brother and tell him that you don't want any part of her in your relationship with him. You don't want him passing info either way. Your relationship with him needs to stand alone apart from her. However he handles that on his end with her is up to him, but on his end with you that looks like you not knowing about her life, requests, or any of it. You want to preserve the relationship with him and not have it deteriorate because she's triangulating the two of you. He only gets one more warning after the initial discussio 6, then it's info diet for him. Comment 2. Send her stock pictures of a different kid. Comment 3. Sounds like you've got things well under control. I would tell the little brother that he can pass on the message. No photos will be provided, no matter how much you badger brother's name, and just leave it at that. That way, at least maybe he'll be out of the line of fire a little bit. I don't envy him having to deal with you, mother, that's for sure. Comment 4. Continue to ignore her. You have control of the situation and she hates that. Alternatively, if you're feeling petty, Google some baby images and send them to her. She'll be playing the doting grandmother all over social media while posting stock images of some random baby. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you in the next video.